Well, certainly, Naledi, the students at the University of Johannesburg are the latest to go on a protest, really, regarding fees. And we are going to get more information, but you will remember that the Wits students are protesting over a lack of accommodation and are also requesting that the NSFAS 42,000 Rand cap for accommodation be scrapped, and also for the university to waive a 10,000 Rand upfront fee for accommodation, talking about an accommodation crisis that has left many students sleeping in corridors as well as libraries. But we're now going to speak to the students here at UJ to find out why they have also decided to embark on this. And just by the way, the protest action is continuing at Wits, and we will be making our way there. But before we head out there, we're going to talk to the SRC here at the University of Johannesburg. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Please introduce yourself for record-keeping purposes and just tell us about what your demands are and why you have decided to come out here.
Thank you so much. My name is Mbalenhle Mthethwa. I am the SRC secretary of APK campus, the main campus of UJ. We've come out here today because of the frustrations that have been building up on campus. Students have come back, have paid deposits to stay on accommodation, to stay on campus in fact, but we haven't had water for 3 weeks. Jojo tanks are running on empty. There's no backup supply for water for students that are here currently. That's the first issue that we're facing. So if we could get water on campus as soon as yesterday, then our issues, half of them would have died down. The second issue is the issue of NSFAS. Most of the students that are here are NSFAS funded. Allowances have not come in. They have moved into residences from January already. We're in March. What are these students eating? How are these students going to classes? Firstly, without having showered. Secondly, without having eaten. We're in a situation where students are looking to us as the SRC, but we can't give them a resolution because UJ is failing to cooperate with us. Not too long ago, we had to shut down finance and students were able to register. Registration at UJ has been extended 4 times because of an issue of outstanding debt. But there's been no assistance from the institution at large. Registration was extended 4 times with an AOD, which is an acknowledgement of debt, of 50%, requiring students who come from poor backgrounds, who are NSFAS funded, to pay a 50% of their debt in order for them to be allowed back into the system. No black student can afford that right now. So we're in a situation where classes are continuing. It's test week next week. People have not showered, returning students have not registered, NSFAS allowances have not been allocated by the institution. Students' frustrations have brought us to this place that we're in right now. We're going to move swiftly and we're going to join Wits eventually, but from now on, we're going to go and join APB because we understand that the frustrations that we're sharing here as APK are the same frustrations that APB is sharing.
Well, it seems as though you are protesting over 2 completely different reasons to the ones that the Wits students are protesting over. Your biggest issue here is the lack of water and the fact that NSFAS has not paid out allowances, which has left students with no way of survival, really, while they're here. I mean, who have you spoken to? The university, have you been able to engage with the NSFAS representatives regarding this? And how did those conversations pan out?
We've had conversations firstly with the institution itself. We set up meetings with the financial office. We've discussed these issues, operations and maintenance. We've discussed these issues. Day in and day out promises are made, but they're not kept. DHET was here not so long ago. NSFAS was here, I think, 2 weeks ago to address the same issues. We reached a consensus. They had told us that by this point in time, everything would have been sailing smoothly. But that's not the situation we find ourselves in. Because of the engagement that we've had with management, with NSFAS and DHET, we now find ourselves in a situation where there's nothing else that we can do. We've engaged management, we've engaged all of the relevant officers, we've tried everything that we can try as an SRC. But unfortunately, we are in a situation where our demands have not been met.
Now, as you can see here, we're going to go back to that interview, but we just want to show you the scenes outside here at UJ. Now, this is a main intersection next to the Auckland Park campus, and students have literally blockaded the entire intersection, preventing vehicles from passing here and forcing them to turn back. Really, this is not the only vehicle that has been turned back. As you can see, there are more. The police have just arrived. The police were not here earlier, and as you can see, traffic is getting heavily backed up here as cars try to turn back here on the Kingsway Road. This is where the students are stationed right now, and as you've heard from the SRC representative, some of the issues here is that they have been without water, and that the students who are dependent on NSFAS have not received their allowances, leaving them with no way of, say, sustenance or to even buy food. But we're going to carry on and continue with that interview that we had started with the SRC. As you were saying that you have been in conversation with various bodies to try and resolve this, and there still hasn't been a resolution to the problem. What is the way forward, and what are your demands right now, and who are you going to be handing them over to?
We want to hand over our demands to the Senior Executive Director of the institution, Dr. Vuguza, because she had residence visits. She saw the situation in our residences, but she hasn't done anything about it. So her office must assist us by allocating water. It's either they must pay their water bill or they must fill the JoJo tanks. But our students' graduation ceremonies are continuing. Students have not showered. So the first demand that we're going to hand over to the Executive Senior Director of the University of Johannesburg, Dr. Vuguza. Secondly, to the new Vice Chancellor who's had 2 days in office and has failed to give us water, Prof. Mbalenhle. He has come in as a new Vice Chancellor. His term began yesterday and he said nothing about the issue of water. They are planning an induction process here. They're setting up a stage that is thousands, if not millions of rands, but they are failing to give students water. So our demands are going to hand over to these two people.
Is this the only campus without water, or is the whole area being affected with water? Because I do understand that even a lot of houses in this area are affected by water cuts. Do you know why there's no water?
We understand that there's a national water crisis, and we're not disputing that. But areas in the vicinity, for example, West Dean, students who live in West Dean have showered this morning. Students who live here in Brixton and Sophia Town have showered this morning. The crisis here, if you go into Campus Square, there's water, but there's no water in the University of Johannesburg. So it's not even about the national water crisis. Even if it was about that, UJ has boreholes that have pumps that are not operating. UJ has JoJo tanks that are empty. All of the backup power, or the backup water rather, is not assisting us. So even if it was a national water crisis, the boreholes are not sustaining anything, the JoJo tanks are not sustaining anything. So the areas in the vicinity have water. It's not even about the national water crisis, it's about UJ not affording the students the chance to have water. We've got female students who had moved into residence in January. Ladies have complained there's been an amount reported to the SRC of yeast infections that have been picked up by female students. The institution is not going to do anything about that because clearly they're not concerned. We're in a situation where you open a toilet seat in any office or in any department and it's filled to the brim with toilet paper. How do you utilize that and you call yourself an institution of higher learning?
Now, talk to us about, the circumstances under which students who have not received their allowances from NSFAS find themselves in. Is the residence not catered? Do they have to cater for themselves? What's the situation?
Residences at UJ are not catered. There's a program called GOG, but you don't qualify for it if you're an NSFAS student. So if you're registered via NSFAS, automatically you are cut off from that system. So not only are you cut off from GOG, which gives you a food parcel, but you also have not received your allowances. So you've been here from January, it's March, you have not eaten. At home, they can't afford to send you money for food. So the students who are NSFAS funded are in a situation where, outside of the water crisis, they cannot afford to sustain themselves. Classes are continuing as usual. In fact, it's a matter of lecturers are not coming to attend to classes physically, they are putting them online. Because there's no water, but you as a student must wake up and go and attend a lecture. It doesn't make sense for classes to continue as usual. When there's no water, registration is still ongoing. Who must attend the class? Who must still continue to register? Who must go to class on an empty stomach? Who must attend the lecture? Who must not?
Would you prefer the university to shut down while there's no water?
The institution must be put on hold. The entire academic calendar must be put on hold until firstly registration has concluded completely. Every week there's an extension of registration because students are not registering because they have outstanding debt. Registration and classes at large must be put on hold until registration has concluded, until NSFAS allowance has been allocated, until water is flowing on this campus. Because we do not want to go to class when we have not showered, when we have not eaten. Our residences are poorly maintained. Glasses and tiles are falling from the showers of UJ. Reported last year, even now it hasn't been attended to. But our students must pay a deposit fee. Their students must pay a deposit fee and they must be forced to pay a fee for a residence that doesn't have tiles in the shower. students complained that there was a student that had a cut after a tile had hit her while she was in the shower. But you must still pay a deposit fee. The situation and the maintenance of UJ's residences is very horrible. It's a horrible situation.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. There you have it. That is one of the student representatives talking to us about their demands and the circumstances under which certain students find themselves living under. And as you have heard, that there are some students who are then forced to go without food. Let's show you what's happening here. And over here, as you can see, one vehicle is being turned back and asked to turn back. And the students really had formed a circle around this four-way stop, really just trying to prevent any vehicle from going through the gaps. And it seems as though while we were speaking during that interview, a gap has opened and has now allowed a car to then make its way through this gap. And as you can see, students are the ones pushing the car back and so on. So this has been the situation, and this remains the situation outside here at UJ. It's back to you in studio for now.